Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of TIL's Adapt, Create, and Innovate series. Today we have Miss Dr. Lois Void of Dancing with a Purpose, and today she's going to share with us a bit about herself and her company. Thank you, Dr. Void.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me today. Happy Friday. It's always a blessing when you make it to the end of the week. So thank you, Kelsie, for having me. I am Dr. Lois Void. I am the founder and CEO of Dancing with a Purpose dash DWAP. DWAP has been in existence since 1999, and it actually started in 1997, but it really took off in 1999, and it was birthed from I'm going to call it a layoff. I was working as a contractor for a major organization, left to get married and came back from my honeymoon with an empty desk. The desk had been cleaned off, and nevertheless, it threw me into a whirlwind, which the whirlwind took me into depression. And my husband at the time gave me 3 months, told me I had 3 months to get it together, just three. And at the end of the third month, he said, "Now you've had this time. Now it's time to get up and get busy." But the thing I want you to understand is when you get busy, I want you to do something that you would love doing every morning when you get up. And I was in the ministry, dance ministry at one of the big churches in Fort Washington. And so I had this love for dance. And I said, well, I can do what I want. Let me just create a dance program for children and enjoy waking up every morning and going to the schools and teaching the children liturgical dance. So I had a plethora of contracts because it was so new. No one was doing that. And I really enjoyed it. I look forward to it. And then as time went on, the ministry moved into a ministry of outreach and a ministry of church. And we had church services in our home. I think we did that for maybe 7 or 8 years. Then I got divorced and decided I wanted to pivot or transition into something else. But as I was pivoting and transitioning, I saw a need for children in schools in the community, women in schools in the community. And so my focus began to work with children and women, um, because there's so much that involves us, and so many things that we go through. And I was able to relate to all those things. So I felt that need to just bring together a ministry where we would serve children and women. And so we've been doing that for the last maybe 10 years. And so out of those 10 years, other programs have birthed. And the programs were birthed based on what was happening in the world. So Black Girls Matter was started because of a fight that broke out at Delaware University, where a sophomore student lost her life because she was jumped by some females. And just reading the story made me cry. Just tears just flooded. So I said, if not now, then when? If not who, then if not me, then who? So I decided to start a program that would address the needs of females, and the things they were going through. Because a lot of fights, I believe, with women start from the thing that's going on inside of us. And nevertheless, the other young ladies were arrested. It was so senseless. It didn't make sense to me. So Black Girls Matter was birthed. From Black Girls Matter, I birthed Code Like Us because I saw a need in the community where our children needed to not just have a cell phone we could play on, but a cell phone that could give us a skill for life. So I developed that for young children. And I did that for a couple of summers, and now it's incorporated in all my programs. I also developed a program called Youth Empowered and Powerful, because I wanted to start bringing little boys in,
Okay.
or I should say young kings. And so this gave them an opportunity to come in, enjoy the program, to interact, intermingle with females. And that was really rich. So I did that, and then in that program they learned coding as well. And boys love coding.
Yep.
I mean, they love the sciences. So that was something exciting for me to see. And then I ran the summer program, like I said, Code Like Us, which involved the boys and the girls. The last program, and why is it slipping my mind? Code Like Us, Black Girls Matter. Yep, VOS, virtual out of school time um, programs. And what that is, it started off helping the children who
Mm-hmm.
were virtual for the school year, who would go into their classrooms on camera, go to sleep, hide under the covers, wouldn't show up for class, wouldn't do their work. And so we became very instrumental in helping the parents help their children get engaged and stay engaged, because we had so many young people just failing and disengaged and not showing up, absent, truancy. It was just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that for one semester. And then it just kind of transitioned into an after school program. So now the children go to school during the day, but they come and enjoy programs like cooking and dance and cheering and fashion and design in the afternoons, and video creation and things like that in the afternoon. So we've been enjoying that program as well. So DWAP now has a whole new, I want to say, design.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yep.
pivoted. We decided to bring all these programs under Dancing with the Purpose, and we are 501c3, um, and we serve women, adults, children, and females in the community, in underserved communities, I should say. That's our focus.
Thank you for that. And I've had the opportunity to work with you guys for a little bit. And
Yeah,
thank you for that opportunity, because it really did show me that it does start with the youth. And like you said, you were able to branch out to other things that you wanted to do as well. But
yeah.
what it really started with was with the youth. So thank you for that. So my next question for you is, you dived a little bit into your purpose, but can you dive a little deeper into why you really felt the need to start Dancing with the Purpose and your plethora of other programs?
Um, like I said, I've always, ever since I can remember, even as a child, I was always caring for children, even as a child. So I did not know that that was going to be something I would just hold here,
Mm-hmm.
dear to my heart. As an adult, but I did realize that when I interacted with children, there was always something, magical there, or something magnetic, where they would want to listen, they would want to learn more, they would want to do more. So even as my career started as an educator, I started with singing and dancing and music and the arts. So a private school took a chance and hired me. I have a degree, but I don't have a degree in that area. But
Mm-hmm.
they took a chance and hired me, and I stayed with them for 3 years, teaching the children art, dance, singing. Mind you, I cannot sing. I could put a CD on, learn the words, and teach it to the children. And so from that, just the excitement of seeing how children respond and how really vulnerable they are when things are new and exciting and broad, and you expand their little minds. It's almost like you can see their little minds just opening up, when they got engaged. And I would be so excited. And at the end of the day, there was that same my ex had, make sure you love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get up in the mornings, you're excited about that. When you're in at the end of the day, you're excited about that.
Yeah.
And so I would be so excited just going home trying to plan and figure out how I can get them to do more, more, more. And so even when I went into the classroom as a sub teaching English, I always had music. I always had movement. I always had, because I just believe the children of color just need that
Mm-hmm.
steady, that constant motion,
Mm-hmm.
as they learn. if you watch some children while they're learning and you have music on, especially classical music, they're actually just studying and working to the rhythm.
Right.
And so you understand that that's innate, that's in us. That's from our ancestors. That's not anything, the culture from their community, as most people want to say. That's just in us. And so understanding that, I would just put the music on, and some of the principals didn't like it, but I would just put the music on real soft, because I knew if the classroom was quiet, they could hear it, and they would just and get their work done.
Yep.
And then after everybody had their work done, I would turn it up and we would have a big celebration. So I think my passion is just from watching children respond to the arts, whether it's spoken word, whether it's dance, whether it's music,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that I was exposed to that as a young child. My mom would take us to the Kennedy Center, and we'd be like, "Mom, who wants to go to the Kennedy Center?" Who wants to go to a ballet? It's so boring, but I loved it. And so I always think about my mom exposing us and what that would look like to children when you expose them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love that, and I just build on that, because children today, look at infants being born, for example. They come out the womb just excited, looking around. We didn't do that stuff. Their little hearts and minds are already ready to go. Like when you hold them for the first time, they're like looking around like, yeah, what am I doing? Who are you? So the amazement that they project even as infants is what I drive the program on.
Well, thank you for that share, and I appreciate it. I know the community definitely does. It's always needed. Like we say, it always starts with you. So you shared a little bit about you, but can you dive a little deeper into who you are and tell us a little story about yourself?
Okay. And I want to back up for a little bit. That's right. We did have the Just Us program, which is how we met you,
Yep.
Kelsie, because of the George Floyd incident, and just making sure our youth understood the law and what that looks like, the Fifth Amendment and what that looks like, the Constitution and what that looks like. I know we got that when I was in school. I'm not even sure if they're still teaching that the children. So just wanted to take a little tap into justice for our children. But a little bit about me. Let's see. I am one of 5 children. I'm the middle child.
Mhm.
So I had 2 older, a brother and sister, and 2 younger, a brother and sister. And I always felt like, it was okay, because they got all the attention, but it was okay for me to just be in the middle.
Mhm.
Uh, I grew up in Southeast Washington. My mom was married, but she became a single parent. Um, and we went to school in Ward 8. We went to Simon, Hart, and Kramer. My dad decided to
Mhm.
transfer me up to Wilson for my senior year. I mean, for my high school years, and that was really traumatic for me because this community I'm living in now was the only community that I knew, and
Right.
all my friends were here. So it was like, Daddy, why did I have to go somewhere else and make friends? But the thing you understand now as an adult, it's so important to make friends. And so growing up, I had to make sure I understood that it's important to make friends. It's important to meet diverse people. It's important to hear what other people have to say and not just the circle of friends that are right there near you. Um, and then from there I branched off into ministry, and in ministry I became a pastor, and from the pastor I started the church, and as I stated before, the dance ministry. We were a worshiping arts church, so the word would come through the ministry of worship, spoken prayers. And so we really tried to do a number of things to bring people to the saving grace of Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
And that is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. And then I became an activist in the community. There were so many things I did not like that I saw.
Mhm.
And my dad running for council member allowed me to get on the political side to see how things really operated. And so once I got over there, I was like, oh, this is how it's done. This is who we need to talk to. This is how we tell people, about our streets, the trash and the rodents and all of that. And so I learned about being a community activist. And so I took all of that big bowl of soup and knowledge, and it formed me into the individual I am today. And so today I've decided to come back into the community and do the groundwork. And it's a lot of work. It's still a lot of work. It's still families that need to be fed, children who need to be educated. I mean, it's a food deficit for families, it's health, it's the pandemic. It's just so much that you have to focus in on, that you realize, look, I need more partners. I need more people. I need people who have the same heart, the same drive to do this work that God has called me to do. And so I formed partnerships with a plethora of people who know more than I know, who do more than I do. And sometimes I'm just that little peon right there. It's like, what do we have to do? Okay, where do we have to go? And I'm fine with that because, like I said, I'm here, Lord. Just use me. Tell me what you need me to do.
Yep. Just use me.
Yes, use me. Tell me. I'm ready.
So you said Dancing with the Purpose has been around since 1999, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a few years. So how have you been able to innovate and keep going? Like what's been your source of innovation?
That's a very good question, Kelsie, because my daddy used to tell me as a child, the angels are sitting on the edge of the bed waiting for you to get up to see what you have for them today. And I just believe that spirit of creativity that just falls on me and says, okay, now let's try this. Now let's do that. Now let's move over here and do this. And then, like I said, keeping your hands on the pulse of what's happening in the community and seeing and asking yourself, how can we make a difference?
Right.
And so the moment you understand how or what little role you can play in making sure things are changing or that you are on the same wheel that's moving, that's where all the creativity starts. And I just put pen to paper and I write and I type and I look for grants. I see what everybody else, is anybody else doing this besides me? So I can partner with them. And so it's just that spirit of creativity that falls. I'm a left-handed person. Okay. And they tell me left-handed people are very creative. And I have found that to be true. Yes.
My mom is also a lefty, and I would say,
oh wow,
yep, she's very, very creative. So
yes, very creative.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. My next question for you is, so in your terms, how does it all come together to create value for you, for people in the community, for your partners? Like, how do you guys get it all to come together and really just make it work?
I think the most important thing for any program, any individual, any nonprofit, you have to have a mission. Like if you can hone in on that mission and not let go, it'll work. Because what a mission does, it tells you why I'm here. It's like, why am I here?
Right.
You have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's the whole purpose behind it? And so you develop a mission so that when you go out and you partner and you talk and you look for funding, people will want to either buy in to what you have to say and what you're going to do, or they're not going to buy in. And so it's that mission that drives everything. It's the mission when you go and sit at the table with other CEOs that tells them this person is serious.
Right.
They have given this some thought. And so when you develop that, you live that. It's like, I can't develop something and not live it and walk it and breathe it myself. So you create it, you put it on a mirror, you put it on your front door, you put it in the kitchen where you're cooking, and you just focus and you're like, this has to happen. This has to happen. And so when you do that, people buy in because you got to have a buy-in. Like I could be out there all day creating programs, But if I have a mission and no purpose behind it, and that's why it's called dancing with a purpose. Because dance to me is writing and talking and singing and movement. It's just a constant and it has a purpose. And so when you understand that that constant has a purpose, then it's not just like the babies just flapping their arms.
Right.
You know, it's now like my arms are moving this way for a reason. My head is moving up for a reason. And so now you understand the dynamics of why you're here,
Yep.
why God has called you to this place at this particular time.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that share. And I think that, like you said, it's important. I think everything is important to, especially now, just given everything that's going on, to make sure you just keep going and find a way to motivate yourself,
Yeah.
especially in times like this. That's a
Yes.
great segue into the next question of the hour. So, how have you been able to deal and kind of cope with the COVID-19 pandemic, like either personally or as a business owner? Sure, it's impacted many families, so I'm sure that it's probably impacted yours as well. So, how have you been able to really like deal with the COVID-19 pandemic?
The pandemic has been a pain in the blankety blank. As I said to my mom the other day, and I love my mom, I love my daddy. I just lost my daddy January 22nd. But both the parents always allowed me to be me. Like I could be as transparent or I could be as quiet as I wanted to be. And the funny thing is, June 2019, I jumped. I left an organization where I was in leadership and I knew all my families. I knew I had a big uh, uh, circle of friends and I had a big circle of other educators that surrounded me and embraced me. Not all the time, because like I said, I'm so out of the box sometimes. But nevertheless, I was in my comfort zone.
Right.
And I decided to jump. I left an organization in June, ran the summer program, and then the pandemic hit. So from the summer program, I went to an after school program that was doing very well. And the next thing you know, we had to close our doors. We had to shut everything down. And for the most part, because I had planned so well in my jump, it didn't impact me right away because I was still able to pay bills. I was still able to meet the requirements of my monthly budget.
Mm.
But then all of a sudden, I realized I don't have children, I don't have families. And so that just, it was like a boom in the face. It's like, oh, why did I do this? I should have stayed. You know, I should have just stayed with the organization. I would still be working. I was still, this all the things I could beat myself up with. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then one morning I got up and stood up and looked out that window. I said, this is not going to win. That's how We Win came about. It's not going to win.
Yep.
So I started reading and doing research like everybody's without children. What are they doing? And just researching what are other schools doing, what are other programs doing. And they were going virtual. And then that's when I decided I would go virtual as well. That meant I had to go somewhere and study. What does that mean? How much do I have enough internet? Do I have enough speed? All of that stuff you have to start building again. And that's what I started doing. I started building. And in that building, I learned so much stuff. I was like, this is going to be fun. This is going to be nice.
We're
You
gonna
know,
work.
technology, yes. And the children are going to love it. And again, I had to have some buy-in. So when I first introduced it to the families, people were like, we can't even imagine paying you to have my child at home and you're just there smiling at them and giving them things to do. And I was like, okay. I was very humble. But then when I did my open house, I took another road into that and showed them the benefits of having your child in a summer program that was not just having fun, but that was reinforcing some of the skills they lost when the school shut down. So my programs are usually a whole lot of fun, field trips, fun activities, games. I was like, now you got to rewrite your whole lesson.
Yeah. Really?
Now they gotta have reading, they gotta have math, they gotta have writing. And so I was bringing all that in and still trying to make it fun. So I had some wonderful teachers, art, reading. I just got people who were already skilled at that to do the work. And children will be in the waiting room every morning to come in. And so I said, thank you, God, because this way I could make it through the summer. And then we were still out for the fall. And again, I had to go back to the drawing board and build and build and build and build. So I think the challenge of any entrepreneur, any business owner, in the times that we're in, the times of a pandemic, you got to realize, you got to tell yourself every day, I got to be building on something.
Yep.
You can't stop. Don't even get comfortable. Even if everything opens back up, it could close up again.
Right again. Just
yes.
As soon as it opens, quick as it closes.
Yes. So you always got to be building, always got to be building, always looking for a better way to do things, always looking for an exciting way to invite your families in. And then if you're doing that on a constant, then you won't even have those little moments of time when you're like, oh, why did I do this?
Unsure times. Yep. And thank you for that. I know that very inspiring for many people going through this pandemic right now. It's very inspiring to me. I know that it's just something, just keeping, like, you just have to keep going. Like, you can't just stop. And that's one of the main, I would say one of the main, like, rules I use in my life. It's just, you just have to keep going no matter the outcome. You can't determine it unless you go through it. You gotta go through it to get through it. So.
Cannot be afraid to fail.
Gotta go through it to get through.
Gotta go through it. You gotta go through it. If it didn't work, go back to the drawing board and try something different.
That's a great segue into the next question.
Okay.
So, what comes next for Dancing with the Purpose?
Wow. That's $1 million question. Let's see. What comes next? See, I would be kind of like, I feel like I would be telling a story if I could tell you a story, like what's coming next. Because it's so difficult with the times we're in to say. I am planning for a summer program. I keep reading, one day we're open, one day we're closed, one day we're open 50%, one day we're closed. So it's so hard to say what comes next. Now the ministry in worship and dance, it's a constant, it's just going to happen.
Of course.
We have the Friday, Good Friday program where we have women coming to talk about the heart of a woman at the cross. So we're always talking about the cross and Jesus Christ being, but we never have talked about the women who witnessed, who sat, who watched, who hoped, that Jesus will come down off that cross. So we took a different way in for Good Friday. So we had these women coming in to talk about the heart of a woman at the cross. And then, of course, we still have our Sunday worship services, and then we still have our after school program. But moving forward, it is the summer program. And I'm working with two dynamic ladies who have this unique art program that we are trying to develop so children can do what I love seeing them do, just express themselves through the art. Okay. So that's a short concept of what's coming next.
Thank you for that. So before we adjourn, do you have any last moment words of wisdom you'd like to share with anybody that's either aspiring to be an entrepreneur or be someone in the position you are, to have either programs of their own or something that they'd like to do in the future?
I want to say, whatever you do, just do it. Don't check in with everybody telling them what you think. Don't ask everybody what they think because it will never be important. Even if they tell you what they think, it will never be important. The most important thing is what you think. And if what you're thinking is here, it'll transfer here. and then it will activate and cultivate itself. Never give up. Never get, ask people who were doing it before you. Never be afraid of wisdom. That's why it's called wisdom, because somebody else did it before I did. Don't be afraid to educate yourself. Like if you have to spend hours every day reading or going back to school, just educate yourself. And at a certain age, our education is free again. That's the wonderful thing I can say about being.
We got phones now.
Yes. Phones now. Yeah. So. And we have YouTube, and we have people who are doing webinars, and it's so much. I never forget. I learned how to build a web page from a webinar, and so we're always learning. Be excited about life, even when life has dealt you a bad hand. Be excited about it. I never forget one of the most critical things I learned when I went into ministry. I don't care if you cry when you're preaching. I want you to keep preaching. And that's how I felt just recently when I lost my daddy. I would just have these moments. I'm excited. Next minute, boosh. But I realized I had to keep going. Just drop the tears and just keep going. And never underestimate your worth. Never underestimate your worth, because you are more valuable than you have even thought or imagined, because it's your gift. Whatever gift God gave you, that's your gift, and nobody can put a value on it but you and God. And so my hope is that people who are striving to be entrepreneurs or to go into business for themselves, that they would just always be excited. Don't worry about if you don't have the master plan. Nobody does.
Be highs and lows.
Nobody has the master plan.
Be highs and lows.
Yes, just do it. As Michael Jordan said, just do it. Just get out there and do it. And don't be afraid to do it.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. Void.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us today. I'll be attaching.
Pleasure.
Yep, I'll be attaching the links to all of Dr. Void's programs at the follow of this video. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy your weekend.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.